there is something that begins to happen when healing starts to take root. You don't just think differently anymore, you start responding differently. And that's where things get uncomfortable. Because not everyone adjusts well to the new version of you.
Welcome to Therapy in the Word, our sacred space where we explore our inner world through the lens of scripture and psychological insights. Today we are looking at boundaries and how they help you during your healing journey. Before we continue, please subscribe and share so we can spread this message to those who need the word. Please be aware that the topics discussed in this episode may be emotionally triggering for some viewers. We encourage you to watch at your own pace, pause whenever needed, and take the time and space necessary to care for your emotional well-being as you engage with this content. This video is no substitution for professional counselling. We have included links in the description for qualified counsellors. Some people were only used to you in survival mode, so when you start changing, it can feel like you are becoming difficult, different, or even selfish. But what's actually happening is this. You are developing boundaries. So what are boundaries? Let's define them together. Boundaries are not walls. They are clarity. They are structure. They are protection for what is valuable in you. Psychology teaches us that without boundaries, identity can become fragmented. Because if you are always available, always accommodating, always absorbing other people's emotions, you eventually lose sight of where you end and where others begin. And healing starts with this truth. And part of healing is learning this truth. Not everyone has access to every part of you. Not every opinion deserves your agreement. Not every request deserves your yes. Not every relationship deserves your energy. And learning this does not make you cold. It makes you discerning, because access to you should not be automatic. It should be appropriate to the relationship. It should be appropriate to the trust and level of responsibility between you. This is where self-worth begins, because boundaries are not just about saying no to others. They are about saying yes to yourself. But self-worth is not always built in comfort. Often, it is rebuilt after loss, disappointment, rejection, or emotional exhaustion. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Think about that. Keeping your heart does not mean becoming emotionally closed. It means becoming intentional. Because what you repeatedly allow into your heart can eventually influence how you think, how you respond, and how you see yourself. That is both spiritual and psychological wisdom, because what you allow access to can shape the direction of your life. Yah himself demonstrated boundaries. He withdrew from crowds. He stepped away from demands. He made space for solitude. Luke 5:16 says, Yah often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Think about that. Even Yah withdrew, not because he lacked love, but because he understood alignment. Purpose requires withdrawal. Calling requires rest. Love requires limits. You cannot continually pour out without also creating space to be restored. But many struggle with boundaries because they confuse them with rejection. So when you say no, you feel guilty. When you create space, you feel distant. When you protect your energy, you feel selfish. But guilt is not always a guide. Sometimes guilt is simply unfamiliarity with self-respect. Psychology describes this through attachment patterns and learned compliance. If you were shaped in environments where love was conditional, where acceptance depended on performance, obedience, or people-pleasing, you learned that keeping everyone happy protects the relationship. You learned your needs come last. So when you begin setting boundaries, your nervous system may interpret it as danger, even when what you are doing is healthy. That is why boundaries can feel uncomfortable before they feel empowering. You are doing something new. But here is the truth that begins to heal. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions at your expense. John 8:32 says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Freedom includes freedom from over-responsibility, freedom from emotional overextension, freedom from constantly explaining yourself, freedom from being everything to everyone, someone sitting in peace, looking content. Text, freedom from explaining yourself. Boundaries also protect identity. Without them, you start adapting to whoever is in front of you. You become who they need instead of who you actually are. And over time, that can create internal confusion. Ephesians 4:14, so that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. That instability can reflect emotional inconsistency, being pulled by external expectations instead of being grounded in internal truth. Ask, does this align? Self-worth shifts when validation is no longer your source of identity, because when your worth is external, you are always negotiating yourself. But when your worth becomes anchored in truth, you begin to stand differently. You stop proving you deserve to exist. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Yahusha." Workmanship means intentional design. Boundaries are an expression of that understanding. They are not punishment, they are preservation. And sometimes boundaries will cost you relationships. Not every relationship survives your healing, and that can feel like loss. Because when you change the way you relate, it can expose what was actually holding things together. Was it mutual love, or was it your constant accommodation? Was it your willingness to abandon yourself to keep the relationship comfortable? Sometimes what feels like loss is actually alignment revealing itself. Amos 3:3 asks, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" Agreement is not simply about saying the same words. It is about alignment, emotional alignment, relational alignment, values, direction. That is not rejection, it is restoration. You are not becoming hard, you are becoming clear. You are not becoming hard, you are becoming clear. You are not becoming distant, you are becoming anchored. You are becoming whole. And wholeness changes how you respond. You pause before overcommitting. You reflect before reacting. You choose alignment over approval. Matthew 5:37. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. You reflect before reacting. You choose alignment over approval. You should not have to destroy yourself to prove that you love someone. So ask yourself, where have I overextended? Where have I confused guilt with love? Where have I abandoned my boundaries to avoid discomfort? And what would change if I honored myself without apology? Because boundaries are not the end of connection. They are the beginning of healthier connection. They reveal who can meet you in truth and who cannot. And as you continue to heal, you will notice something important. You are no longer trying to be accepted by everyone. You are becoming committed to being aligned with truth. Because healing is not just about what you release, it is about what you now protect. Your peace, your clarity, your identity. And when you begin to protect what Yahuwah is rebuilding in you, you stop negotiating your worth and you start living from it. If you have been affected by this content, please see the details in the description for professional support. This is therapy in the Word, where the truth sets you free and the Most High brings you home. Shalom.